Fairy tales are wondrous. They always show us a side of ourselves. Today we will look at some cards of Eldraine, see what tropes really show us the dark side of ourselves, and then we look at the actual storyline of Will and Rowan and what they can teach us, while looking at some design pearls. In our real history, humans have been the main characters of many stories. Often their stories depict them as heroic, but now we are slowly shifting into an age where humans are not meant to be heroic. We are meant to be innovative at best. Therefore, I think it is interesting to see so many contraptions, even in a set about fairy tales. But we do still see some human tropes here. So what is the linking factor between invention and knighthood? A jousting dummy that works on its own. Jousting dummy is a 2-mana scarecrow knight that has fire breathing for 3 mana. A knight of Embereth calls this knight Sir Nobody, and this knight gives many knights of Embereth their first scars. Humans have been inventing for centuries, but on Eldraine they did not come so far. This is because they value their heroes and their stories so much that they have put all of their time into a sentient punching bag. Because that is what will shape humans into knights. But then again, this dummy is not that strong. It could not easily be the knight, right? Well, the Embereth knights are famously overly optimistic. So on these nights, this sack of sand has a chance. Also, scarecrows are often presented as bringers of fear. Embereth knights have to learn to be courageous. So fighting a scarecrow knight is, in that small manner, very flavorful. Then we have another kind of castle, in Castle Ventress. Its symbol is literally a keyhole, so it is cute that this monitor has one. You might still have to imagine whether a key will go into this, or it might just be for show. The legs of this construct are also keys, so great job in this design, Jason Felix. Castle Ventress has no locks on its doors, but interlopers rarely make it past the foyer, is what the flavor says. This is actually impressive, because the castle does not hold a lot of knowledge. Still, the knowledge is all stored in its annoying magic mirror. That will only tell you something when you tell it something it does not know. As this is semi-impossible, you might as well not go in. Still, these monitors roam the halls and can apparently stop any wolf or giant that comes in. They probably do this by alerting another artifact though, as the mechanic implies. I would love to see this fight. Let us take a look at this beautiful scenery from Scott Murphy. We can hear a river bustling and see a bridge. Then there is a small path leading up to the 2 flags from the Karen Brick Castle that stands for strength. For today's video, this forest stands for a little more than 1 green mana. It stands for the start of our journey, where we see our first obstacle. You see, if you want to be a member of the Garenbrick Knight Brigade, you will have to show immense feats of physical strength. You might think that this road leads to nowhere, but that rock there, that is your first obstacle. See to it that you get it out of the way and you can pass. Yes, even you, small humans, will have to find a way through there, if you want to find what you seek. So humans can be strong in order to become knights. They could be courageous. Still, there is one trope that fairy tales keep slandering. It is the trope of the human that is just innocent. They do not even look around. Ben Maier made sure that the human was looking around, by making her skip around. Ben made sure this human did not feel steady at all. She felt more feather light, as if she could be picked up by a 5/5 giant at any time. She is carrying a basket of fruit like the Little Red Riding Hood. But while she wears similar clothes, she wears green today. Not the heavy red that we talked about in our last Eldraine video. The message of this token is that this character will just hop forward until something happens to her. We can see the easy path behind her that she walked, and it will not stay that easy. Something will happen when she leaves this town. So back to the humans that do get a lot of shine in these stories. When we look at shining armor, it is supposed to show us the outfit of someone that is so holy that their presence blanks us with hope. In this case, the armor is literally shiny and it reflects. For 2 mana you can play this and it automatically attaches to a knight. It belongs to knightly people, so it will cling to them. To me, this always feels a little scary. Imagine walking around in a courtyard and then a flying set of armor flies towards you. But sure, these knights have courage. The armor then gives the knight some chunk and blinds opponents, so that the knight can seem vigilant of his surroundings. Equipping this otherwise is expensive, because putting on armor is a whole job. Again, it is soothing that these humans focus so much on cleaning their armor. While later in this pack we will even see the dangers that other creatures of Eldraine are in which case this armor might have been just a little over the top. But humans are more than just meek inventors. If we look at our real sides, we also see some insatiable hunger. We want food, and it is a very big theme in fairy tales. Here they are used as impersonations of our lust and gluttony, of our overflowing desires, of our darkest motivations, and of our human futility. This savvy hunter is a very dark card, or so it seems. Not because hunting is bad, it is in fact necessary. I just see this art on this Golgari card and see the mist rolling from behind. The roots black and pronounced, the face grim and focused, and there are 5 dead animals on her back. Like I said, hunger is often portrayed as evil and punishable. Still, this hunter does not seem to take too much. Her flavor says, none of the other villagers dare venture into the wild. So she feeds the whole hamlet herself. When we know this, we just know that this look from this hunter is because she is carrying the literal load of her whole hamlet on her shoulders. Now we see that the dark around her is because the wilds are so dangerous. Now we see a really courageous hunter, not a knight, but still someone who dares to venture out and provide for her family. Older stories tend to tell us that you are wrong whenever you eat. Right now, that story should shift. Gingerbrute is a great example of a human desire. First of all, this is a 1 mana food golem creature that's a 1/1 with haste. We can see the man running out of a window in Vincent Proce's art, indicating his speed. For 1 mana, this man cannot be blocked except by creatures with haste. Haste creatures do not like to block, so this is almost unblockable. But the flavor is more important here. Lastly, the Gingerbrute man is a food, so he can be sacrificed for 2 mana and tapping him for 3 life. The flavor says that someone added vanilla extract, but then this Gingerbrute came to life. Okay, a lot of things to unpack here. Let's start with the art, because this might be the first time you notice the pale zombie-like woman in the window who looks shocked at her creation. Now we want your focus to be on the drool on this Gingerbrute's face. He has eaten more of the vanilla extract, and only now is he running away through the cake. But why the haste unblockability? Well, this man's story is as follows. I run from a little old woman, a little old man, a barn full of treasures, a field full of mowers, a cow and a pig. And I can run away from you, I can. Then a fox came, who could run very fast. And so the fox soon caught up to the gingerbread man and began to eat him up. The man said, "Oh dear, I am quarter gone, half gone, 3/4 gone, and all gone," and never spoke again. It's cool that the Gingerbrute is running away from an old lady now. The Gingerbrute can run from anyone except for the fox, who has haste. And now the man stars in Shrek. What a life. Now for something that does not seem too hungry, we are looking at the epitome of human greed here. Not because this goblin is greedy, because it also is, but because we have seen before that these goblins got exiled out of human land because they supposedly took too many resources. Sure, they steal a bit, but that is just how these goblins live. Now the humans have banned them to the wilds and it did not really make the wilds better for it. If you just keep putting everything that you do not like in one spot, that spot will eventually flow over into your own kingdom. That is exactly what happens in Eldraine at this moment, when the creatures of the wild start getting bolder, and now there is almost no one that even dares to go into these lands. Right now, there is probably no one that will ever be able to change these wildlands. Not without extreme measures, and it is not even these goblins' fault. They just like shiny things. The Honored Knights could have come up with a way better solution to this. Now they are just telling tales of Redcap terror and they live in fear of the wilds. Pathetic. Nils Hamm makes a lot of whimsical but very dark pieces of art. They are not necessarily evil, they are just eerie. This giant winged man is not evil on its own. He is just hungry and will not stop. At least he is not Embergul. Still, for this little farm, we have two people who have fallen down. Not because they cannot run, but because they are shocked at seeing their harvest being taken like that. I imagine this man flew down from the skies one day just at the beginning of harvest season. Now these two farmers are stunned and can only watch at the prospect of being hungry for the coming year. Not only that, the flavor also says he eats them out of the house, home, shed, barn, flock and herd, so they really will have nothing left. That is not something to easily overcome in Eldraine. The demon on the other hand feels the same hunger, he just needs more. I would say this is not instantly evil, but when you create a shortage because of your needs, you are evil and it should be stopped. This is why right now at this moment we do not see too many news stories where eating too much is evil. A few hundred years back, if you ate too much, other people directly around you would have no food for the year. And in that case, it is evil. I do think that we need to rethink these narratives though. Still, we can look at this and think to ourselves how we still are like this big demon. Conflict in fairy tales does not often come from humans. It comes from darkness and from witches. Knights are supposed to fight against these so-called horrors. Still, there is always more to a story. There is always a reason for those horrors to exist. In that way, fairy tales should teach us to look at both sides, even if they were first invented to show us the difference between good and evil. Because in Eldraine, knights are in all colors and the creatures of the wild are as well. In the case of Castle Loch Twain, knights are more respected when they live longer. In this case, you would say that being resurrected by 3 Barrow witches would be a great choice as a knight. The flavor says, taste the sweetness, breath for breath. Keep the balance, death for death. These witches say these lines as a mantra. They must believe that tasting, luring with sweetness and then poisoning or eating is right, as long as they sometimes return some of their victims. I am starting to think that these witches have more power than we think. Previously we saw one hunter of witches, who got stronger with how many he had defeated. These witches do not seem so bad though. They are trying to keep some sort of balance at least. But it depends on where this balance lies, whether these 3 are to be trusted. I love that Alex Brock made these witches loom over us, cackling as if they have just revived us, and we are wondering what to do with this awkward situation. Eldraine has more keepers of balance. This Reaper of the Night seems horrible. He is a big spectre floating around in noxious mist. Still, how bad is harvesting fear? Sure, he makes someone discard cards. Perhaps they might even go insane. But at least you are not scared anymore, right? Or do you reckon that when your fear is harvested, there will just be more space for fear to grow again? Well, whenever this one attacks, if you do not have enough sanity left, this Reaper also learns how to fly, making it more scary, making you more scared, giving him more power. I believe this one might be able to keep some villages in tow, which is necessary because they really eat too much. At first I thought, and you will have to admit you did too, that this card was really strong. It is a land that can sacrifice itself to find any basic land, and that land could enter untapped if you have 4 lands. Seems really strong, right? Howard Lyon's art stats to point us towards why this is not. First of all, to enter this passage you will have to wade through swampy froglands. This land does look perfectly like a fairy tale, with its fireflies and the light from the passage luring us in. Now the flavor says that from here the path to anywhere may be found. This sounds so fake that we have to wonder whether we can choose where we go, or if we maybe get teleported anywhere in this forsaken land. I would personally not have taken a random teleportation in this realm, because yes, you could land on a stack of gold, but even then that gold will probably be cursed in some way, and the alternative would be to be transported to a monster's den or some sort of evil cult. So no, I will personally pass on this land. We can also see some famous examples of humans overstepping their boundaries, where curiosity and hunger ended up transforming our lives and teaching us a very valuable lesson that shall never be unlearned. Inquisitive Puppet is one of those humans who made a mistake, because look at where he is now. A construct artifact 0241, it cries when it enters because it is so inquisitive. Then it learns lesson for you to know what not to do. Do not just pick any fruit in a fairy tale world. We can see an interesting lady in the back of Joseph Meehan's art. She seems to be manipulating the construct in a magical manner. Perhaps this young one has stepped into traps before and now he is cursed to be inquisitive for all of his life. This seems to be something an avatar of curiosity would do, and Eldraine is the perfect world for this avatar. You can exile the puppet to get the 1/1 innocent human from before back, again being the suffering subject of the story. The flavor explains that the strings were gone, but he still felt the pull of invisible forces tugging at his mind. So while he was cursed as a puppet, he was literally on strings. Now he is free as boy, but still feels the magic of this avatar of curiosity. I wonder what this man will become later in his life. This land from the cycle of monocolor lands is another staple of curiosity. The land enters untapped if you have 3 forests, and only then it lets you create a food token. This is of course a staple of curiosity and of hunger at the same time, because when Hansel and Gretel were wandering the forest alone, they were getting very hungry. But Hans's curiosity was what trapped the two eventually. I do love this art from Ostrowskiu, where the cabin is situated on a tree of some sort and we still see light shining from above. We also see a little cute waterfall all the way in the back. Also, Eldraine has a cake theme we have seen before today. So the roof of the house is made in an apple pie pattern. The house does not show the whole story, but it does almost lure us in with how the light is focused on the door of this house and how holy it feels as it is being held up by these trees. So now with these two we are left to wonder, what was the lesson in this new tale, that of Will and Rowan and their stories towards finding their father? What was their lesson to learn when their father got turned into an elk? First of all, what we see in Unexplained Vision is the mirror showing Will and Rowan a vision. A vision of an elk standing very regally, actually, and I think Bram did well in making this elk seem so epic, while also showing the keyhole-like mirror to let the mindful people know that we are in Castle Ventress right now. The card lets you draw 3 cards, because this vision does lead the siblings to a lot of new adventures. If then they are careful and they watch the sign well and really think about what it means, they have put in enough blue energy and will get the sky. I like that flavor, and we also get to see the nature of this mirror, in that it really takes knowledge. In this case, what the two had learned from Oko up to this point, and then gives knowledge back in the form of a riddle that you can only solve with more knowledge, because the mirror values knowledge. Then here is the actual Kenrith while he is transformed into an elk. When we put these 2 cards together, it actually looks like Kimonas Theodossiou has made the elk look at his children away from the art and towards some kind of sound or feeling he recognizes. This is awesome flavor. We also see the theme of the waterfalls again. It seems like these are used whenever something is fantastical, and whenever something leads to a waterfall of new adventures. Like with the Gingerbread house, for example. The card itself shows Oko turning a creature into a 3/3 elk and then drawing a card because of all the things that happen because of him transforming an actual king. It's a little weird, but I explained the ending of the story in the previous unpacking. For now I just like the fact that the siblings now go to look for an elk and that Oko has probably transformed many people into an elk. But because of course they will find them. Fairy tales often are predictable, but they in a way always pull your ear when you find out how the heroes get to the end of their story. In this case I believe we can learn that when you know that something is true, but you do not know what it means, you just have to go to the first association in your brain with that true knowledge and explore more. Whatever this means to you, I hope you find what you need today. Thank you for watching.